Fellas, we gotta talk. A lot of men seem to think that Donald Trump is some kind of tough guy. He's not. I mean, look at him. He wears more makeup than Dolly Parton. He whines like a baby. The guy's afraid of birds.
What's up, everyone? In this clip, we're going to be watching Matt Walsh absolutely obliterate this woke actor who's going on a brutal rant. So let's go ahead and check out this clip. Be sure to give us a like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel, and we'll get into it now.
Donald Trump had his daddy pay a doctor to say his little feet hurt so he could dodge the draft. Look at that gut, like a garbage bag full of buttermilk. He sells imaginary baseball cards pretending to be a cowboy fireman. Guy's barely strong enough to hold an umbrella. I mean, look how he drinks water. Like a little pink chickadee. He's got jugs, big ones, like Dolly Parton. He cheats at golf. He creeps around beauty pageant dressing rooms. You know that little dance he does? He looks like he's a pair of giraffes. He's moody, he pouts, he throws tantrums.
No, get those lights off!
He acts like a 5-year-old behind the wheel of a truck. He bends over for Putin. He's cattier on social media than a middle school bean girl. The guy needs help walking downhill. Almost there, Grandma. So this November, let's stop kidding ourselves. Donald Trump is afraid of rain, of dogs.
This is a pause-worthy moment. They claim Trump is afraid, yet he's the one facing the media storm daily, pushing back against leftist strongholds and elitist narratives. He stood against powerful institutions that many politicians wouldn't dare to challenge. Maybe fearlessness looks a little different when you're actually in the arena.
Now, there are two problems here. And the first is that Dave Batista is an actor. And before he became an actor, he was a professional wrestler. So he's been pretending to fight for his whole career. Batista is prolific at make-believe. He's very good at pretending to be a tough guy. Now, it's true that he could certainly beat Trump in an arm wrestling contest. You have an advantage when you take steroids. Not that I would ever accuse a professional wrestler of taking steroids. It's not like literally all of them are. I'm just making a general comment unrelated to the topic at hand. Anyway, Batista has more muscle mass than Donald Trump, but only one of those guys has actually been shot in the head in real life and then stood up and pumped his fist in the air like a badass, okay? Only one of those guys in real life has stared his own mortality in the face twice and remained totally unfazed by it. Like, shockingly unfazed. Trump is actually doing the real tough guy stuff that Batista pretends to do. Trump was covered in real blood. For Batista, in his movies, it's fake blood. Trump had real bullets flying at him. Batista, on the other hand, has been repeatedly shot by CGI effects. So the guy who's been pretend shot doesn't get to puff out his chest and act manlier than the guy who's been real shot, okay? That's not how it works. Here's the frightening part. If one party controls the House, Senate, and presidency come January, they could restructure the court overnight with a simple majority vote.
Critical point here, and Matt Walsh is spot on. Court packing is a blatant threat to the checks and balances foundation to our democracy. Leftists who support this should think twice. This isn't about protecting a democracy, it's subverting it to push a radical agenda. True defenders of the Constitution will see this manipulation for what it is.
A president's signature, their plan could become a reality. It's like they're trying to speed run the destruction of our judicial system. We've already seen their playbook, made up ethical attacks on justices, illegal protests at their homes, and open threats from so-called representatives. It's Venezuela-style court packing, and it would spell the end of judicial independence and the rule of law as we know it. But hey, who needs checks and balances when you can have a rubber stamp for your radical agenda, right? But here's the hope. The hope is first liberty, and it's leading the charge to protect the Supreme Court from this radical plan. They're fighting to preserve the legitimacy of the court and separation of powers that safeguards our freedoms. The second problem, and we don't need to, belabor this point very much, but I will say again, is that even if Batista was a real tough guy and not just a pretend one, he still wouldn't be able to play this game with Trump that he's trying to play here. Because if you're on the left, you don't get to mock other men as wusses, accuse them of not being man enough, call them women as an insult, which he does in that video, calls them grandma. By the end of the video, calls them a little That's the word he uses. So mocking a man by calling him a woman, you don't get to do that. You don't get to do that. Your ideology precludes that. You are on the side that rejects masculinity, any notion of traditional masculinity. You deny that being tough and strong and stoic has anything to do with being a man. I mean, what if it was true that Trump cries all the time and is weak and effeminate? I mean, it's not true. Again, this guy was shot in the head and was unfazed. But if it was, according to your ideology, well, you can't judge him for that. That's perfectly fine. He's just being emotional, in touch with his emotions. You should celebrate that. You deny that being a man has any meaning whatsoever. You deny that the word man even has a definition to begin with. Hey, Dave Batista, what is a man? I bet you can't answer that question, you wimp. You're playing the tough guy routine when an elementary school biology test would reduce you to tears. Now, I understand that because you're on the left, you also think that you can change the rules whenever you want. You think that you can spend decades telling us that masculinity is toxic and then turn around and mock Trump for allegedly not being masculine enough. But it doesn't work that way. You might want it to work that way, but it doesn't, which is why this routine falls flat. It's why every attempt by the left to reclaim masculinity and appeal to men during this election cycle has been met with mockery and scorn. Men aren't falling for it. We aren't buying what you're selling. You've been dumping on us for years.
Absolutely. The left has spent decades dismantling masculinity, mocking traditional values, and turning our young men into targets of social re-engineering. Now they're pondering to win over the very group they've tried to undermine. Men who value strength, resilience, and independence aren't buying this charade.
Years. You've tried to feminize society with great success, unfortunately. You're literally trying to turn our sons into girls. And now you want to turn to us and say, yeah, Donald Trump isn't manly, right, fellas? Get a load of this guy. You don't have the right to even talk about manliness, much less present yourselves as its exemplars. You are an avowed enemy of masculinity. You want to abolish and destroy it. That's your own agenda. You've been very clear about it. And on the other hand, Donald Trump not only proved his masculinity by surviving 2 assassination attempts,
Perfect point to underscore what real resilience looks like. Trump, unlike so many of the left, stands firm in his values without undermining the strength and integrity of men. The left's rhetoric attacks masculinity, pushing narratives that discourage men from being unapologetically strong. Trump doesn't fall into that trap, which is exactly why his message resonates with those who believe in protecting traditional values.
but has also never attacked men or masculinity. It's one of the many reasons we prefer him to whoever Democrats trot out, and it's why we're not listening to frauds like Dave Batista. It's also why Dave Batista is today.
Comment down below if you agree or disagree with a lot of the points made here and the points that I made within this video. I always like to hear other people's opinion. We're going to end off today's video here. Hopefully you guys give us a like and subscribe. Really helps out the channel, and we'll see you guys in the next one.